Greg Halston was the kind of father who earned trust with a smile, but when Emily Reyes vanished, that smile became the first clue that something was terribly wrong. Greg Halston was the kind of man people trusted without hesitation. In his quiet Ohio neighborhood, he was known as the reliable single father who never missed a school event, always showed up early for Little League practice, and volunteered at church every Sunday. His two children, a boy and a girl, were polite, well-dressed, and always on time. Neighbors often said Greg was doing it right, raising kids alone with grace and discipline. His lawn was trimmed, his porch spotless, and his smile warm. He waved to everyone, remembered birthdays, and even helped elderly neighbors with groceries. But behind the charm was a man who had mastered the art of hiding. Late at night, after the kids were asleep, Greg's routine changed. He logged into anonymous forums using fake names, pretending to be younger, friendlier, and more vulnerable than he really was. He targeted teens who posted about loneliness, offering comfort and attention. His messages were carefully worded, never too obvious, always just enough to build trust. He used his knowledge of youth behavior, gleaned from coaching and parenting, to manipulate conversations. He knew what made kids feel seen, what words made them open up. Over time, he collected dozens of online profiles, each tailored to a different persona. Some were shy and sweet, others bold and flirty. All were designed to lure. Greg kept his digital life separate. His laptop was password protected, his browser history wiped daily, and his social media accounts squeaky clean. He never used his real name online. He never left physical evidence. To the outside world, he was a model citizen. To his children, he was a loving dad. To his victims, he was a stranger who seemed to understand them better than anyone else. No one suspected a thing. Not the parents who trusted him with their kids, not the teachers who praised his involvement, not the church members who admired his devotion. Greg had built a life that looked perfect from every angle. Emily Reyes vanished on a rainy Thursday afternoon. She was last seen waiting at a bus stop near her school, just a few miles from Greg Halston's neighborhood. Her disappearance triggered a wave of panic. Flyers went up, search teams formed, and social media lit up with pleas for help. Her parents were devastated. She had never run away, never missed curfew, never broken rules. Police began tracing her digital footprint. Her phone was found in a trash bin behind a gas station, wiped clean. That detail raised alarms. Whoever took her knew how to cover tracks. Surveillance footage from a nearby store showed a man in a baseball cap walking past the bus stop minutes before Emily vanished. The image was grainy, but something about his posture caught the attention of one detective. The man's walk, his stance, it felt familiar. The detective had seen it before, during Little League games. He couldn't shake the feeling. Meanwhile, Emily's online activity revealed a string of messages from someone named Coach Mike 42. The tone started friendly, then shifted. The messages became possessive, controlling. Investigators dug deeper. The username was linked to a series of accounts, all created within the past year. Each one used similar language, similar tactics. The IP address behind them pointed to a residential network in Greg Halston's name. That discovery changed everything. Greg was questioned but remained calm. He denied knowing Emily, denied using the alias, denied everything. His laptop showed no trace of the accounts. But forensic techs weren't convinced. They recovered deleted files, hidden folders, and fragments of conversations. The evidence was growing. Emily's case wasn't isolated. Other missing teens had received messages from similar usernames. Patterns emerged, same phrasing, same timing, same manipulation. Greg's online world was unraveling. Investigators focused on Emily's digital trail. Her phone, wiped clean and discarded, hinted at someone who knew how to erase evidence. The username, Coach Mike 42, became the center of attention. It appeared across multiple platforms, always targeting teens with similar emotional profiles: lonely, curious, and vulnerable. The messages started friendly, offering support and compliments. Then they shifted. The tone grew possessive, demanding. Emily had shared personal details, unaware she was speaking to a predator. The IP address linked to the messages pointed to Greg Halston's home network. That discovery sent shockwaves through the team. Greg's public image didn't match the digital profile. He was calm during questioning, denying any connection to the username. His laptop appeared clean. No suspicious files, no saved chats. But forensic experts weren't convinced. They dug deeper, using recovery tools to search deleted data. What they found changed everything. Hidden folders, encrypted files, and fragments of conversations revealed a pattern. Greg had used multiple aliases, each tailored to different victims. The writing style matched across accounts. The timestamps aligned with Emily's disappearance. Investigators also found software designed to mask activity. Greg had installed programs that erased browsing history and disguised IP addresses. He had taken steps to stay invisible, but the digital residue remained. Each recovered message painted a clearer picture. Greg had studied his targets, mirrored their language, and built trust over time. He used emotional manipulation, offering comfort and validation. Then he isolated them, convincing them to keep secrets. Emily wasn't the only one. Other teens had received similar messages. Some had blocked him. Others had responded briefly. But Emily had engaged. She had trusted Coach Mike 42. The search warrant gave investigators access to Greg Halston's home. Most rooms looked ordinary, clean, organized, and filled with signs of a normal family life. But the basement door was different. It was locked with a keypad, and none of Greg's children knew the code. Officers forced it open and stepped into a space that felt nothing like the rest of the house. The basement was soundproofed. Thick foam panels lined the walls. A mattress lay on the floor, stained and worn. A camera was mounted in the corner, pointed directly at the bed. There were no windows, no decorations, no signs of comfort. Just a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling and a small table with zip ties and duct tape. Investigators moved carefully. They collected samples, photographed everything, and searched for traces of Emily Reyes. She wasn't there, but strands of her hair were found on the mattress. DNA confirmed it. She had been inside that room. Greg's children had never entered the basement. He told them it was for storage, off-limits. Neighbors had never been inside either. The room was hidden in plain sight, just beneath the surface of a home that looked safe. The discovery shocked the community. Parents who once trusted Greg now feared what else he had hidden. The man who coached their kids had built a prison beneath his house. Evidence from the basement matched items found in Greg's online folders. The camera had stored footage, partially deleted but recoverable. Investigators found clips of Greg adjusting the room, testing angles, and preparing the space. The setup was deliberate. The soundproofing, the lock, the camera, it was all planned. Greg hadn't acted on impulse. He had created a system. The basement became the center of the case. It proved intent, preparation, and physical connection to Emily. It also raised questions. How many others had been there? Were there victims no one knew about? Greg's calm demeanor during questioning began to crack. The investigation stalled until a message arrived from an anonymous account. It was short, direct, and chilling. A teenage boy claimed Greg Halston had tried to lure him months earlier using the same alias, Coach Mike 42. He had never told anyone, fearing disbelief and backlash. But after seeing news about Emily Reyes, he couldn't stay silent. Detectives followed up quickly. The boy provided screenshots of conversations, voice recordings, and a location pin. The messages matched Greg's writing style. The voice was unmistakably his. The location pin led to Greg's backyard, just feet from the locked basement. The boy explained how Greg had slowly built trust, offering compliments and emotional support. Then the tone shifted. Greg became controlling, asking for secrecy and personal photos. The boy blocked him before things escalated. But he had saved everything. This tip cracked the case wide open. Investigators now had a second victim, independent of Emily, with solid digital evidence. The screenshots revealed identical phrases used in Emily's chats. The timestamps aligned with Greg's known online activity. The voice recordings were even more damning. Greg had used voice notes to sound younger, softer, more relatable. But forensic audio analysis confirmed the match. It was Greg. The boy's courage changed the direction of the case. His evidence filled gaps, confirmed patterns, and proved Greg's behavior wasn't isolated. It also showed how close Greg had come to harming another child. Detectives revisited Greg's devices. With new context, they uncovered more deleted files, more aliases, and more victims. Each account followed the same formula: build trust, isolate, control. The community reacted with shock and anger. Parents who once praised Greg now questioned every interaction. The boy's story spread quickly, inspiring others to come forward. Greg's mask was gone. The anonymous tip had exposed his system, his tactics, and his intent. Greg Halston's arrest happened during a Little League practice. Parents stood frozen as officers walked onto the field and placed him in handcuffs. The man who once organized charity drives and handed out snacks was now being led away in silence. Children watched, confused. Adults whispered. The image of Greg as a trusted father figure shattered in seconds. News spread quickly. Local outlets ran headlines. Social media exploded with disbelief and anger. Families who once welcomed Greg into their homes now questioned every past interaction. His calm, his charm, his helpful nature, all now seen through a darker lens. At the station, Greg refused to speak. He asked for a lawyer and sat quietly. But the evidence was overwhelming. Investigators had digital records, voice samples, and physical proof from the basement. The anonymous tip had confirmed his tactics. Emily's DNA had placed her inside his home. As detectives built the case, more victims came forward. Some had blocked him early. Others had engaged longer. Each story followed the same pattern: friendly messages, emotional manipulation, and sudden control. Greg had used his role in the community to mask his actions. The charges piled up: kidnapping, unlawful restraint, possession of illegal materials, and multiple counts of online exploitation. Prosecutors moved quickly. The case was airtight. Greg's children were placed in protective custody. Their world turned upside down. The house was searched again. More hidden devices were found. More aliases uncovered. The community held meetings. Parents demanded answers. Schools reviewed safety policies. Coaches were rescreened. Trust had been broken, and people wanted change. Greg's arrest wasn't just about one crime. It exposed a system of deception built over years. A man who had studied how to blend in, how to earn trust, and how to stay hidden. Greg Halston sat in court, surrounded by silence. The evidence had been presented: digital records, voice samples, basement footage, and victim statements. His lawyer advised him to remain quiet, but Greg chose to speak. Not to defend himself, but to admit he never thought he'd be caught. He described how he built his life around control. Every smile, every handshake, every act of kindness was calculated. He believed his role as a father and coach would shield him, that no one would look deeper, that his charm would be enough. The moment he saw the screenshots in court, something shifted. The words he had typed, the voice notes he had sent, the aliases he had created, they were all laid bare. The mask he wore for years had slipped. Greg's children were not in the courtroom. They had been placed in protective care. Their home was gone. Their routines shattered. The man they called Dad was now a convicted predator. The town struggled to process the truth. People who once admired Greg now felt betrayed. His arrest had forced a reckoning. Schools reviewed safety protocols. Parents talked to their children about online dangers. Greg's house was sold. The basement was sealed. The community moved forward, but the scars remained. His name became a warning, a reminder of how easily trust can be abused. In prison, Greg was isolated. Other inmates knew his story. Guards kept their distance. He spent his days in silence, replaying the choices that led him there. The final court ruling was swift. Multiple life sentences. No parole. No appeals. The judge called his actions calculated and cruel. Greg's story ended not with a twist, but with a realization. He had believed he was smarter than everyone else. That his mask would never slip. That his secrets would stay buried.